Hi everyone, welcome to my review of Paul Schrader's First Reformed from 2017. Yes, I'm back again with a review, and in case you're wondering, I'll say it now. This is not one of the films over these couple of weeks that I'm reviewing as a rewatch, kind of one of my favourites. Because as I've been saying, a lot of these films that I've been reviewing on the channel are ones that I'm rewatching, and for these next 2 weeks and stuff, due to my birthday being soon, and I kind of do this quite often, on my birthday month. But yeah, amongst that, I do of course, I have been watching a couple of first-time watches, just in general. So yeah, this is one of them, and it's a film that I really, really looked forward to. I was definitely, just drawn to this because, of course, Ethan Hawke being one, because he is one of my favourite actors. Under the radar a lot of the time, I really think he's a truly wonderful actor, individual. I love Ethan Hawke. So yeah, but also of course Paul Schrader, and that really I guess for many cinephiles, a lot of cinephiles, that kind of gets there is an enthusiasm behind the name Paul Schrader. Behind me, Taxi Driver, Raging Bull. Of course, the screenwriter for these films. He penned the script, working with Scorsese, and he'd done two other Scorsese pictures that I have not seen them two, and he's also directed quite a few films, written and directed, and yeah, just of course a great talent. We don't need to say any more than that. He does just bring some level of enthusiasm, I'm sure, for many people. So definitely a film I was looking forward to, no doubt. Of course, Amanda Seyfried, as well, was in the film, and I was really intrigued by this, just this talent behind it, and yes, it's a film that definitely is critically acclaimed, but I guess it seems like it was a bit under the radar, actually, like a lot of his films, really. Maybe Paul Schrader, under the radar a little bit, and it didn't, it wasn't a massive kind of big event success. It doesn't seem, but it done well, and it well received, as I say. It has got its criticisms, so yeah, I just went into this. I did have high hopes because actually, for the first time, I saw American Gigolo this year, a few months ago, and I'll just say it blew me away. I'm going to hopefully be rewatching that again soon and giving that a review. But what a great film. I adored that from start to finish. Richard Gere, Paul Schrader, yeah, absolutely amazing. And this film, of course, yeah, I didn't expect it to be a bad film. I just had full faith, in this film. And yes, it is. It's a film that basically concerns this pastor, Ernst Toller, played by the great Ethan Hawke, and working, he preaches and stuff at this church, the First Reformed Church, yeah, of course, in New York, and yeah, it's basically a struggling of faith, personal, dark issues going on here, themes. He's struggling with his faith, a classic kind of setup, you could say, but yeah, I think the way it's approached, and yeah, just the way the film is made is certainly a standout film. It just, that's what I would say first. This is a very different film. It's very unique, and yes, it's certainly at times a quite shockingly realistic and dark film. And yes, Ethan Hawke playing this our protagonist, of course. Halfway through, actually, there's a point where I was kind of taken aback by how quite a really full on and dark film, this one, at times, I will say that. But yes, it's a very small cast of characters here, really, and it concerns this pastor, and yes, basically Ernst Toller, and Toller, he's given speeches, of course, and stuff, at this church, and yes, one of the main story, really, this character, of course, of Mary, played by Amanda Seyfried, and yes, basically, she comes into the film and she actually asks for his advice, and basically counsel to kind of help her husband, Michael, and he's basically this radical environmentalist, and he's got very extreme views, and it's very. It seems very clear at first. You'll be aware that it's very unhinged, and just again, in case I've already not already said it, this is not a spoilers review. I think to really get into spoilers would be on a rewatch. Certainly, I look forward to doing that, and I would say it's very likely that I'll rewatch this maybe in a few months or possibly early next year. Yeah, to give this a spoilers review. But regardless, this is my review, of course, and it won't be any specifics. Really. So don't worry if you've not seen the film. But yes, it concerns this character, of Michael, and Ethan Hawke. His character goes to see this character of Michael, of course, at a request of his wife Mary, and it's a very she's concerned quite a bit, and yes, it all unfolds from there. Shocking things happen, very shocking things happen, and it's going very such a daring film. This you can praise how bold it is, and just going ahead and making a film like this. Certainly very risky. A lot of people will react to art in general, of course, in different ways, and this is certainly a film that particularly that is very risky, and it will obviously just people react very strongly. I feel to kind of to this film, whichever end of the spectrum you're at. I think it's not quite a film maybe there'll be as much in the middle. It will kind of be just a high response, which is it's definitely mostly a sign of a great film. But yeah, I think this film really has to be seen. Really, if you're wondering, should I check it out? I think definitely. I think just give it a go. If you don't respond to it, in a positive way, then that's just the way it is. I think. And yes, I just let this film unfold in front of me, and I had quite high expectations, as I say, with this film, with Paul Schrader once again making a film, and yes, let me say, I think this is an underrated masterpiece of the century. I was absolutely floored by this film. What a human piece of work. This is absolutely stunning in my opinion. I was wowed by this experience, and really just so happy, with the way it came together. It's a dark film without ruining too much. It does some really shocking stuff here, and it's very, of course, it's kind of like a nightmarish feel at times, hellish experience, but for all that, it has its wonderful uplifting moments throughout the film, and the way it came together, I think I was shocked. I really was. But yes, it's just people react differently to the end as well, definitely. But yes, I think this is actually one of the most wonderful films of the century. I think it's an absolute masterpiece, and just wow, so impressed with this. So moved by the experience, and uplifted in so many ways. This relationship, I'm not going to say exactly what happens with this between Amanda and Ethan Hawke, but their characters of Mary and Ernst, but it's still but yeah, it does, it certainly has so much in this film. It's some film, and I was just truly moved by this. It's just a beautiful piece of filmmaking. Straight away, it kind of just I knew this is a different film. This stands out. It's very unique. That first shot, really of the church itself. I have to say that's just an absolutely stunning shot. I was wowed by that. Even the opening shot, it was just absolutely stunning. And I think the way this film was shot, it's definitely very different. I personally loved it. I don't think everyone will love the way it's shot. Maybe it's because it's very minimalist at times, you could say. I just loved it. I found I was responding to just every single frame, really, the way he shot this. Paul Schrader has a certain style with this, very different to his previous film that I'd seen. Of course, American Gigolo, completely different style. So he clearly, from what I've seen even so far, he's very versatile in his style, and just like, I guess, kind of bringing his own thing, to the particular story and the tone. Really, it seems he's just kind of an all-round, balanced filmmaker. And yes, the style to this was just stunning, really perfect for what this was, exploring, and I found it to be really so wonderfully shot. There's a real purity to this. I love the aspect ratio even as well. I loved this. It's a very vertical film in so many ways, and I think it really it just makes it, on this occasion so strangely personal. There's a real strange and unique feel to this, and he's doing very particular things here. It's not quite comparable really to a lot of the films that we're seeing, and just I think hats off. It really is a stunning film, and it's got people that have criticised the film for. I can obviously. I'm obviously aware that it will be controversial. Some of this, it's really shocking, and what it's the themes, of course, and there's points I did not know where this was going to go. Actually, it seemed like it was an unpredictable film. There's a kind of unpredictable feel to this. I think it's just the character as well. Really surprises me throughout the film, which is great. A character who surprises you, the protagonist, and even Hawke. I think an absolutely stunning performance, masterful performance, absolutely wow. Amanda as well, Seyfried, wow, she was absolutely stunning in this film. She really gave a wonderful performance, and I just think this relationship, for the different ways it goes in the film, this friendship, this relationship, this connection, it's absolutely stunning. Very rarely has modern cinema kind of moved me in this particular way with their relationship. I think it was just absolutely wonderful, and really, I think definitely a classic, kind of classicism here. Definitely with the feeling of this film really feels definitely like a callback to classic cinema in its particular ways. It's a very pure film and everything, but it's very very, very dark at times as well, and very, in a particular way, realistic and shocking. And I just think, it's got this dreamlike quality as well. But I was just wowed by it, and this particular moment in the film, definitely quite a bit into the film, which I couldn't quite believe. It was one of the most beautiful sequences, of the decade. It really, really was to me. I found it wonderful. It's such a spiritual moment, and yes, this film just blew me away. I think the editing is just stunning. This is a very, very unique film, as I say, in its cinematography, its editing, the style of the film. It's a very minimalist film at times, and I think it just captures, just a real purity to the emotions. The acting is just stunning in this film, and yes, there's a real charm to it. There's a comedy to the film, definitely so, but it is definitely full on at times. A lot of people I would say would definitely respond to this, in different ways. Seems like it's a very controversial film at times, but I definitely think it's a stunning film that I really connected to on every level. I was moved by this film, and it's just for what it's exploring, it just does it in the most balanced way. Very sincere, this film, truly sincere. It's just it's a film that's human. It's of course very comparable. In its main protagonist, no doubt. Despite complete differences in their occupation perhaps, and just overall kind of of course their actual. The character in many ways, but there is a definite similarity between Travis Bickle and our main protagonist here, of Toller. I actually think there's been, Paul Schrader has talked about this, and even Hawke, and there's definite, parallels, and the way the film goes, is definitely, a bit comparable, in the structure and stuff of Taxi Driver, and it's obviously, Paul Schrader, quite an occurrence here with just dealing with unhinged characters, very characters that are flawed. He seems to be, of course, which is great, interested in this and bringing this to film, and I think that's just great. And I think in this film he really perfected it. I have no flaws with this film, and yes, we'll wrap up. I think it's a film that just has to be seen. I was just enthralled by the script. Wonderful script here. What a script from Paul Schrader. Absolutely stunning. The characters were so fully formed. It's just the performances were just stunning. The location, I love the sense of location, and it just feels truly wonderful in the way it's shot. Of course, it's digital, but it's definitely some of the best digital, visuals. That's what I'll say. But yeah, it's just I just think he does wonderful things here with the style of the film, and really just focusing on this sense of humanity to a very risky and dark subject matter throughout the film, and it is a film that deals with faith, and the kind of struggling with this, and this is certainly a film that masters that, in my opinion. I definitely responded to this film, the spiritual levels in this, and yeah, just as a compelling, character study, and just the relationship, finding connection and peace, and moving on. Yeah, at the same time, of course, outbursts throughout the film from different characters and stuff. But I think that the whole film, judging as a whole, it's definitely such a balanced film. And yes, didn't expect quite to give it this score, and it's not quite my plus tiers, but it's a damn masterpiece in my opinion, an absolute one. 100%, yeah, and I'm not, kind of jumping the gun here. I do think this is a stunning film, without hesitation. I call this a masterpiece, 100% for sure. It really is stunning. I have no flaws. It's not, yeah, not quite in my plus tiers, but doesn't need to be. It's an absolutely stunning film, and I'm not going to say what I prefer out of this, American Gigolo, but and I've not seen Mishima yet, of course, but. Paul Schrader, clearly a genius, no doubt. He really is a great individual, and I can't wait to see more of his films. Hopefully, all of them eventually, and yeah, what he does next. This will be interesting. Certainly, a great filmmaker. This is a masterpiece in my opinion, because it just goes beyond what it's trying to explore. It really the way it's executed is stunning, and it does achieve this purity that it's certainly now has not been. I don't quite see it too much. There's obviously times and films that are better than this and stuff, but I think this is one of these films that's just it's blown me away, and it's doing something that I find lacking personally at the moment. So hats off, and certainly in full backing of this filmmaker, and this individual, and everyone involved. Amanda Seyfried, is just wonderful in this film. A real beauty to the performance. I just think it's a lovely character. Just a warm film, full of heart. Despite it being very intense, very full on, and very dark and shocking and maybe harrowing for some, but there's so much uplifting moments and beauty in the film, and spiritual moments that move me so much, and it's just such a compelling film in this drama, in its characters and side characters as well, and the whole kind of just how great this script is. It's a sharp script, but it's again actually quite loose as well, so it's just a perfect film in my opinion. I think it's a wowing film, definitely one of the best of 2017, which wow, that was a great year. Surprisingly a great year. Definitely one of the better years, recently. Very impressive, and this is one of the impressive films, in my opinion. I think it's just a stunning film that I'd highly recommend. And yes, Ethan Hawke, absolutely stunning in this film. His best performance, of course, for me being from the Before trilogy by Richard Linklater. What a creation that is, across them films, and of course he's just so good. And so many films, Boyhood as well, but First Reformed, add that to the list, and it's just wonderfully directed. As I say, it just is a stunning film. Really is a great piece of storytelling here, a masterpiece in my opinion, and he really is exploring characters here, and the emotions you get from this, or at least I got, just something else. It's very dark, but it's just so spiritual and uplifting as well, and just a perfect film in my opinion. I have no flaws. It's just the acting, as I say, Ethan Hawke, as being just a Wow, 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 wow. One of his many great performances here, masterful, absolutely stunning, and just everything in the film, the sound design as well, I didn't really mention, but you'll pick up on that too. I feel really something else, just intense and so atmospheric. This film, it's a real thriller, as well as many many different things. But I will say it becomes very very clear what the film is only once you've seen it. I feel it's a very definitely one that was going places that I thought I didn't feel that it would end in a particular way, that's for sure. And it did. It really did. And yes, wonderful film that I adored. And yeah, just cannot wait to rewatch this and also watch the rest of his work, Paul Schrader. And yeah, everyone involved here. Beautiful film that you have to check out. Real recommendation this. And tell me your thoughts in the comments if you've seen this, if you haven't. And certainly has my recommendation. So yes. Thanks for watching my review.